I have about 1 hour of daylight left, and then it's going to get real cold and real dark. But I'm out here on the creek with an unusual gold pan. And probably more importantly, the channel now has a sponsor, Bruce's Warehouse. For the longest of times, I have been advocating for Buddings to come along and sponsor the channel because I pretty much exclusively use their buckets. Well, not anymore. The channel is sponsored by Bruce. There's a full video on this up on Spud Engineering if you would like to go check it out. However, that is not what I have you here for today. This is what is known as a botella pan. This is a pan that is used almost everywhere outside of Western countries. And what I mean by that is the USA, Canada, England, New Zealand, and Australia are primarily the countries that use flat bottom gold pans. Almost everywhere else uses these. Normally they will be made out of wood because they're super cheap, super easy, and super effective to make. It is literally a dish. A lot of people are going to leave some racist remarks, which I would encourage you not to do because I'll have to delete them for YouTube reasons. But these work off centrifugal force and a completely different washing method to what you would normally see with a flat bottom pan. That's about enough talking out of me. Let's get to digging. Hat off. Botella pans like this are huge. They can take a lot of dirt. In fact, I did a little short on it where it can take 8 shovel heads worth of dirt about this big, or about 4 full-size shovel heads. The spot that we're digging today is a little bedrock shelf that cuts directly across a creek that has some quite chunky gold. It's a bit sporadic, but when you find it, you find really good gold. So we're gonna just keep following this shelf and hopefully it continues across the creek, because then we'd be in for a really good payday. Try and get the wiggle in. Now I know a lot of people don't like my FPV videos because I move my head too much. I'm working on a different setup with a chest rig and we'll be chopping and changing. So stick with me. This video has potential. Yeet. Boop. Oh, yep, that shelf goes straight across the creek. I can feel the shovel slipping into a crevice down there. This pan is not full, nowhere near it, but they get really heavy, so I'm not going to overfill it. Now the panning method is the same at the start. You got to stratify. You don't have to classify, but it does help if you do remove all your really big rocks. Now that everything's stratified and we got rid of some of the mud, we're going to use a throwing method where I tip the pan forward, let water in, throw it forward, and then drag it back, and that's going to wash off all of our dirt. So that's the motion there, but we're going to do it a little bit more aggressive. So we get everything liquefied, and then, now I know people are going to panic. I know people are going to panic. They're going to be like, Chris, you're blowing away all your gold. I assure you, I am not. The rest of the world uses these pans. This is their technique. It's super effective. All my testing, all of Dan Hurd's testing of these pans, they are really good, but they are very different to what most people are used to. So the water can only ever access the dirt on top, and that means that as long as you're stratified, you're not going to wash anything important away. And you'll notice that I'm just rotating the pan. That just keeps the material reconcentrating into the center as opposed to in a line. And then once we're down to about how much, make some swirls. And this is much more of a lover's affair with washing dirt off than it is efficient, this part. You can do it a few different ways. The way that I'm enjoying doing it at the moment is you do a swirl, you tip it forward. That should have concentrated all the heavies down the bottom here. And then I just use a sort of a rolling method, and it washes all of the lights off the back, off this side, and then down to the front. Really big piece of tin just there. This creek has a lot of tin on it. And if you're ever worried, you can just re-stratify. You can obviously just pan like a regular pan too, like a steel flat bottom one. But I'm trying to replicate the techniques that I've seen from prospectors who live in countries that predominantly use these pans, because they know what they're doing. And I am what's called a DWC. I can't say that on YouTube or I'll get a strike. We're down to pretty much nothing but the black sands. Not very much black sand in this one. I would have expected there to be a little bit more. Now, we are saving all the concentrates in Bruce over here. Let me just tip a bit of water in him. Do that swirl again. Sometimes when you do the swirl you get a flash of gold, which is kind of nice. Now, the way I found to reveal the gold, again watching the shows, you just tip like that. A little bit of water in the hand and tip into the black sand. There's a little tiny piece of gold there. Not worried about that. There's much bigger gold on this creek. Yeah, a couple little flakes. Helps if we just get a close-up camera for them, right? Few little flakes in there. Can't argue with that, really. That's only the start. It was more or less surface material. We'll get better. We'll get better gold today. Ooh, that's fractured bedrock. And these are roots. And if they've been there for any length of time, that'll be good. Ooh, we got gold down the bottom. It's always really good to see pieces of gold exactly where they're meant to be. And yes, I am next to a highway, that's what you can hear. Let's see if there's any more of that down the bottom. Oh yeah, that's a good bit. It's a nice big flake there. Oh, shotgun pellets. Yeah. Okay, not a great pan. I know that there's much better here, but for a quick afternoon hunt, I'm happy with that. Got a piece of steel there too. You have sort of seen how a potato pan works, and normally I would make a full video, but I am really pressed for time. So what I'm going to do is push through a whole bunch of pans, as many as I can, and then I want to do something that I've seen being talked about in my comment section all the time. The other thing we get a lot of in this creek is native tin. I thought this was tourmaline at first, but these are actually tin crystals starting to form, and we get better specimens than that. Look at this one, just riddled with it. Along with tin, you also get garnet, which is really cool. We might see some of them later. Don't worry, just occasionally we are getting some very nice pieces. This is what we're actually here for. Most of the good pockets in this creek give you pieces like that, but 10 or 15 of them in a single pan. That's what we're hoping to find, but I don't know if I will be able to, because the old fireball in the sky is kind of disappearing. Daylight is disappearing, and we're up to doing a little bit of hand dredging just out of this spot, so I got that last chunky piece. Maybe we'll get a few others. And then we're going to move on to a little experiment. Ooh, that's a good little bit. A shoddy pellet. Oh, plenty of nice pieces in there. Good sized bits. This bucket contains the concentrates from 8 pans. There's not a heap of gold in there, but there are some nice good bits as well as some fine stuff. And it's also mixed with tin or cassiterite. Cassiterite is extremely dense. Makes it very difficult to separate it away from the gold. And normally, no matter what system I use, I lose gold in the cleanup systems because of that cassiterite. But in here, oh, come on, don't be shy. Come say hello to the general public. I have this. The main problem with running a pan this small is its capacity. On a creek like this pan is perfect for working crevices in bedrock, like in this area here. And it's also great for working buckets. Like if you collect a bucket worth of concentrates from your spot and you sit down in your chair and you pan it off, works good. It's not so good for general prospecting. What I have discovered is that this pan works perfect for cleanups. And we're going to do a little bit of a loss test today. That's what I want to know. So we're going to run this material on my flat pan, and then we're going to take all the tailings and we're going to see how much gold I lost running the concentrates. Now concentrates are always much harder to pan off than regular dirt from the creek because it's made up of all your heaviest material. Ah, lucky, because that just started moving and it shouldn't be moving. No, more weight. More weight. There we go. Let's try that. So the easiest thing to do with this, just under the surface, start making tight little circles. I've made videos on this before. And what happens is all the gold gets shunted back into the center and all the lights fall off. And you can see already we're down to pretty much nothing but the black sands, and I can see bits of wire and stuff in there. Now this isn't like obviously a lot of concentrates, but it should be enough to give us an idea of loss, right? Now if there is loss, I'm gonna have to go back and revisit not only my technique, but possibly the design of the pan, and I'll put my hand up straight away. I'll say I've made a mistake. Now every pan on that note loses gold. Every pan, every sluice box, it doesn't actually matter what you're running, you will lose gold at some point. And it's important to understand that. It's whether or not the gold loss is acceptable is the key. Was the gold loss so high that there was no point in using that system to clean up because it cost you more gold than was worthwhile? So say you had like a 40% loss, or was it like a 5% loss, which is, I think, acceptable. All right, got one last little bit here. There we go. That's the bucket clean. Now, if you're going to lose any gold in this pan, it will be lost when you do the final shakedown. And that can happen for any number of reasons. It happens in all pans. As long as you keep this pan level and you don't overload it, we shouldn't lose much at all. I would hypothesize we would lose odd shaped things, possibly round things like shotgun pellets, but I don't think we'll lose much gold. All right, let's just see how we go. Turn that into the stream, Chris. Into the flow. Oh, maybe this way. See, we're doing this real world too. We're not doing this in controlled environments. We're doing this out on the creek, which I never normally would do. Normally I would always take it home because I know that you'll incur loss. Look at the gold coming out. See, we're shedding off lighter stuff. We're shedding off some of the wires and whatnot, but I would say that is a pretty good result. Look at that. Got some nice coarse chunky gold on that. And I can't see any gold in these riffles at all. Oh, there's one piece just there actually. So now we've got to do this lot. I have a promotion running over on the oldmoldy.com.au right now. Someone who buys anything off my store between now and June 30 is going to walk away with 1 gram gold guaranteed pay dirt, a gold nugget, some crystals, an agate, and a gold pan. All purchases count, doesn't matter the value. Oh yeah, shameless spruik to my website. Right, let's see how much gold I lost. Actually, I'm going to repan it into this because I want to keep these concentrates. I want to keep them for pay dirt. Now, traditional panning requires a lot more stratification when it comes to panning down concentrates that you get from doing something like I did, where you're doing several pans in a row. And that's just because once the tin or the ironstone or whatever heavies in your area gets into significant quantities, it becomes very, very dense, heavy, and creates a lot of friction. So it takes a while for gold to settle sometimes. All right, that's pretty much down to the last of it. Just make sure that pan doesn't float away. Let's find out how much we lost. One flake right there. That's it. That's all we lost. That. So, my flat pan working cons that are full of tin, flat gold, fine and big. We collected that much and we lost that much. I would say that's pretty successful. I'm calling that a good day on the creek, because at the end of the day, I would say that getting that much gold and only losing that much gold would be maybe a 3%, maybe a 5% loss. And that's more than acceptable for most prospecting situations when it comes to hobby mining. But there you go. Loss test seems to do all right.